Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. All right, welcome back to the channel. Once again, we're at the Georgia Gun Club's 100-yard indoor rifle range, and today I'm shooting my Tikka T3X chambered in .223 Remington, mounted in an MDT Oryx chassis with an Arkin SH4 6-24x50 rifle scope. Today we're continuing our test with the 60 grain Vmax bullet by Hornady, and once again I am zeroing in on a load with the Varget Powder. There's a link in the description below to a previous video where we were testing this load with Varget Powder, and we were shooting loads at charge weights from 23.7 to 24.9, which is the maximum shown in the Hornady manual. Now here are a couple of photos where we had two loads. We shot this group at 23.7 grains of powder, and we had a 0.5 inch group. And then we shot this load at 24.3 grains of powder, and we had a 0.42 inch group. So what I'm going to do here is on either side of this 23.7, I'm loading charges at 23.6 and 23.8. And at the 24.3 grain charge weight, we're going to load either side of that at 24.2 and 24.4 grains of powder and see how these 60 Vmax will perform and see if we can zero in on a couple of groups there. All right, so as always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results that follow. Shooting at 100 yards. All right, we had a couple that shot pretty well here, so let's bring them in and take a look. All right, this was our failing group shot with the 52 boat tail hollow point. Then we switched over to the 60 Vmax for the rest of these. Fairly tight here. I'm going to say that's probably about just over a half an inch there. Pretty tight here. Pretty tight here. This was my last shot here, and then we were stringing vertically here. According to the manual, we should have been producing 2,940 feet per second in velocity here. We were actually at 2,739, so about 200 feet per second short of what the book was showing. All right, so we will take these home, measure these with the Hornady Ballistics app, and get back to you with the results, so stay tuned. All right, so I'm back from the range, and I've had a chance to measure and analyze my targets. As mentioned earlier, in the comments below, there's a link to a video where I shot this target using a 60 grain Vmax with charge weights from 23.7 to 24.9, which is the maximum charge weight shown in the Hornady manual. We had decent groups at 23.7 grains and 24.3 grains. And so we decided to expand on that and open up that a little bit. So I loaded charge weights from 23.6 to 23.8 and from 24.2 and 24.4 and decided to shoot those. So I shot this target at the range today. I did find a couple of really good groups in here. Okay, so after our fouling group, our coal barrel group, where we had a group size of 1.17, we had group sizes of 0.60, 0.67, 0.49, and 0.86. Okay, we start off with the fouling group at 23.6 grains of Varget, and I'm shooting a 52 grain Hornady boat tail hollow point bullet as my fouling group. And so after I shoot this target, it's shooting somewhat to the left and kind of low. I don't want to destroy my point of aim, so I adjust it one click up and one click to the right just to get it a little more centered on target. So at that same charge weight, I shot our first target with the 60 Vmax. We're 1/4 of an inch to the left and 3/4 of an inch high, but we had a group size of 0.60 inches and a mean radius of 0.22. And as I've said before, a radius is half of a circle. So if you double that, that gives you an average group size of 0.44 inches. We had an average velocity of 26.28 and a standard deviation of 14.9. So pretty pleased with that group. At 23.8 grains of powder, we had an average group size of 0.67 and a mean radius of 0.25. We had an average velocity of 26.46 and a standard deviation of 28.7. According to the Hornady manual, these should be traveling at 23.8 grains at around 2,900 feet per second. We're well below that at an average of 26.46. At 24.2 grains, this was our best group of the day, and we have a group size of 0.49 inches, but 4 out of 5 of these are touching in one ragged hole, and I have one flyer off to the side here. Otherwise, that would have been in the 3s, I believe. But in any event, we had a standard deviation here of 9.4 feet per second. Now, all of these were loaded with 2,000th of neck tension, and I have some different size mandrels, so I'm betting we can play with that and maybe get rid of that flyer and maybe get that load right there tightened up. So that's probably where we're going to focus going forward. At 24.4 grains, it opens up a little bit, still a decent group with a group size of 0.86 inches and a mean radius of 0.27, average velocity of 27.39, and a standard deviation of 17.2. So what I think I'm going to have to do to fight this out is we're probably going to have to do some 10 or 20 shot groups. I'm going to come back at 24.2 grains, at 23.6 grains, 24.3, and 23.7. And we're going to shoot 4 groups. We're going to shoot at least 10 shots, maybe 15 shots at each of those, and see if we can zero in on which one of these is actually giving us the best performance. So stay tuned. There will be more to come. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, or questions, please leave those in the comments below. I try to interact with everybody that comments. I hope you will also like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.